To yield 2.5 minutes to the gentleman from Virginia, Mr. Connolly.
Gentleman from Virginia, recognized for 2.5 minutes.
I thank my colleague. Madam Speaker, I appreciate the comments we've just heard. The bill before us today is just the latest partisan jab at federal employees who are on the front lines protecting and serving our constituents every day. I remind my colleagues that more than 85% of federal employees do not work here in the D.C. region. They live and work in your districts. They are the law enforcement agents, park rangers, research inspectors who make our communities safer. These are middle-class families struggling to make ends meet just like everybody else. Yet House Republicans have routinely used them as a punching bag, chipping away at their pay and their benefits. So far, the tab is $103 billion and counting. It is time to say enough. I was pleased to join with Congressman Berra and 10 of our colleagues in co-sponsoring the amendment Mr. Paulus referred to this partisan bill that at least would have separated the questions of freezing our pay from that of federal employees. In fact, 3 such amendments were submitted, but each was rejected by the Republicans in the Rules Committee, underscoring that this really is nothing more than another political potshot at federal employees and using us as the subterfuge. If anyone's salary should be frozen as a result of our nation's fiscal paralysis, it's us, it's members of Congress. That's why I introduced an alternative bill, H.R. 636, with Ranking Member Cummings from the Oversight Committee, to freeze member salaries for the duration of this Congress. Of course, my Republican colleagues failed to acknowledge that we already voted to freeze member salaries through September of this year, as Mr. Paulus indicated. So there's no real sense of urgency here. Why aren't we spending this time working on a bipartisan solution to avert the devastating consequences of sequestration 2 weeks from now? The $85 billion in across-the-board cuts in defense and domestic spending for the rest of the fiscal year would slam the brakes on this economy and throw us potentially back into recession. GDP performance in the fourth quarter shows that. It declined by 0.1%, largely because of shrinkage in public sector investments. That was led by a 22% drop in defense spending, the largest since the end of the Vietnam War. My colleagues on the other side of the aisle have shown almost no interest in addressing this threat, despite the pleadings of the Secretary of Defense. 15 more seconds.
Gentleman's recognized. 15 seconds.
An amendment by our colleague, Mr. Van Hollen, from the Budget Committee to replace sequestration was also rebuffed by the Rules Committee just last night on a partisan vote. To make matters worse, the House is about to go into recess again tomorrow. In fact, we spent 15 of the 19 weeks from July through the lame duck in recess. Let's do something productive for the United States economy. I yield back.